Welcome back, focused learners. If you've ever been fascinated by how the massive, chaotic, absolutely beautiful metropolis of New York City actually functions, well, you are in the perfect place. Today, we're throwing out those exhausting cookie-cutter itineraries. We're moving way beyond the tourist traps to give you the ultimate blueprint for decoding a real NYC.
Okay, let's dive into this. Is your NYC trip missing something? You know, when most people picture a trip to New York, their mental map is actually surprisingly tiny. They imagine standing under the blinding neon lights of Times Square, walking a few blocks to a Broadway show, maybe looking up at the Empire State Building, and, well, that's kind of it. They get completely stuck in this incredibly dense, highly commercialized bubble. But guys, if that's all you see, you are missing the entire heartbeat of the city.
There is such a sharp contrast between how most visitors see the city and how locals actually experience it. First, we've got Tourist NYC. This is that exhausting itinerary where you literally never leave Midtown Manhattan. It's crowded, it's super expensive, and honestly, it's just a tiny fraction of the story. Then we have the real NYC. This is where you actually get out there and explore the unique local cultures of all 5 boroughs. By using some well-organized strategies, you can transition from a drained, overwhelmed tourist to an energized explorer, soaking in the genuine, enriching experiences that actual New Yorkers love. So to get you there, here's our flow for today's explainer. First, the 5 boroughs explained. Second, decoding Manhattan neighborhoods. Third, the 30% rule. And fourth, ascending the NYC skyline. Starting off with part 1, the 5 boroughs explained. We really need to grasp the massive scale of this city. So these 5 boroughs were consolidated way back in 1898. And fun fact, each one is actually its own county. But consider the land area numbers for a second. Manhattan, the place where most tourists spend 100% of their time and literally never leave, is actually the smallest borough by land area. It's just 22.7 square miles. It is absolutely dwarfed by the massive size of Queens at over 108 square miles and Brooklyn at nearly 70 square miles. It's wild when you put it in perspective like that. And the population distribution perfectly mirrors that reality. Brooklyn has 2.73 million residents, and Queens has 2.4 million. They make up the massive majority of the population. The truth is, the vast majority of real New Yorkers actually live outside of Manhattan. Queens alone is the most ethnically diverse urban area in the entire world. Think about that. If you want to see where the locals actually live, eat, and breathe, you absolutely have to look beyond Manhattan. Which brings us right to the magic ratio from our source guides, the 70-30 blueprint. If it's your first trip to New York, the ultimate recommendation is to spend 70% of your time exploring Manhattan and dedicate a full 30% to crossing the rivers and exploring the outer boroughs. It's the perfect balance, really. You get to see the iconic must-do landmarks while still experiencing that authentic, grounded local flavor. Moving on to Section 2, decoding Manhattan neighborhoods and finding your perfect aura. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this concept we pulled from our sources, the aura score. See, Manhattan isn't just one giant, uniform city block. It's a fascinating patchwork of distinct neighborhoods, each with its own highly specific personality. Think of an aura score as a fun metric, out of 10, used to describe the unique feel, energy, and overall vibe of a specific area. So instead of just staring at a blank map, you really should be asking yourself, hey, what kind of energy do I want today? Let's look at the extremes here. On one side, we have a literal 10 out of 10 for chaotic energy, Times Square, and the theater district. If you want high energy, dazzling neon lights, and bustling crowds, yep, this is definitely your spot. But if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed and want, say, a 7 out of 10 for peaceful and historic, you can head all the way north to Inwood or Hudson Heights. Up there, you're going to find quiet residential streets, massive trees, and Fort Tryon Park, which has just stunning views of the Hudson River. Honestly, it's the exact same island, but it feels like a completely different universe. But what if you want to experience Manhattan's artistic and fashionable history? Well, you'll want these 9 out of 10 trendy auras. Let's rapid fire through them. First up, the Meatpacking District, famous for its cobblestone streets, chic boutiques, and the beautiful elevated Highline Park. Next, Greenwich Village, offering incredible bohemian history, cozy cafes, and absolutely crucial LGBTQ+ landmarks like the Stonewall Inn. And finally, Soho, which is globally famous for its stunning cast-iron buildings and high-end fashion. These are the neighborhoods you'll want to explore to really feel that classic, cool New York pulse. All right, Section 3, the 30% rule. It's time to cross the rivers to the outer boroughs. Leaving Manhattan is where the real magic actually happens. Just crossing the East River unlocks completely new worlds for you. Over in Brooklyn, you've got neighborhoods like Dumbo with its incredibly photogenic views of the Manhattan Bridge, and Williamsburg, famous for its trendy street art and vintage shopping. And then there's Queens. A massive highlight here is the Queens Night Market. It is renowned for offering incredibly affordable, world-class international cuisine and a fantastic local atmosphere. Guys, you absolutely cannot get this exact experience staying in Midtown Manhattan. And listen, we have to break this stigma around Staten Island. It's so often just seen as a quick ferry turnaround point, but there are some incredible, completely overlooked gems here. Now, yes, the Staten Island Ferry is a phenomenal, free activity that gives you the best unobstructed views of the Statue of Liberty. But once you get off the boat, there is so much more. You've got the 83-acre Snug Harbor Cultural Center and Botanical Garden. You can experience colonial New York at historic Richmond Town. Or you can explore Fort Wadsworth, which is an actual 200-year-old military stronghold that used to guard New York's harbor. How cool is that?
Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 4, ascending the NYC Skyline, the ultimate rooftop bar experience. So you now know the massive geography of the 5 boroughs, and you understand the ground-level auras of the neighborhoods. Now it is time to view it all from above. New York essentially invented the rooftop bar, but trust me, they are not all created equal. Let's compare 2 Manhattan options. If it's your first time, 235th is the most famous choice. It's packed, it has almost 25,000 reviews, but it offers a breathtaking direct view of the Empire State Building. However, if you want to actually have a quiet conversation, look at Vintage Green. It boasts a rare 4.9-star rating, it's intimately located on a 16th floor, completely filled with plants, and is literally the ultimate date night spot away from the massive crowds. But I want to let you in on an amazing insider secret. If you stay on a rooftop in Manhattan, you are in the skyline. If you want the absolute best view of the Manhattan skyline, well, you actually have to leave Manhattan. Head over the river to Queens to a spot like Lost in Paradise in Long Island City. Looking back across the East River from there gives you a panoramic, perfectly lined up shot of the Chrysler Building, the Empire State Building, and Midtown East. It's incredible. So, the crucial point is, to do these rooftops right, you really have to follow a few rules. First, season matters, so definitely look for retractable roofs if you're traveling in the winter. Second, you will definitely want to book reservations if you're going on a Friday or Saturday night. Third, timing is absolutely everything. Try to arrive about 45 minutes before sunset to secure a good seat for the view. Fourth, keep the dress code smart casual. Hotel rooftops are super strict, so please do not show up in flip-flops or athletic wear. And finally, just be prepared for the cost. You should budget about $18 to $25 per cocktail in Midtown. To bring this all together, I want to share this quote directly from our sources. The visitors who leave NYC with the best memories usually aren't the ones who stay only in Manhattan. They're the ones who discover local culture, food, and unforgettable skyline views. And that perfectly summarizes our core thesis today. Applying the 70-30 blueprint, understanding those neighborhood auras, and getting up high to see the true scale of the city, that is what will fundamentally upgrade your travels. And that brings us to the end of today's explainer. I want to leave you with this. Which NYC neighborhood will you conquer first? Will you chase the chaotic neon of Times Square, seek out the bohemian cobblestones of Greenwich Village, or maybe take the ferry over to explore a 200-year-old fort on Staten Island? The entire city is out there waiting for you. Thanks for joining me today, Focus Learners, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.